Okay, the video is preparing to live stream. So as usual, if you don't want to be seen in the recorded on YouTube from today's meeting, be sure to shut off your video now and turn on your microphone when you have a question or whatever. No, Betty doesn't have a mic either. Bummer. Okay, so I'll do my best to keep track of the chat and
I'll watch it for you, Christina.
Thank you, Carla. Okay, so let's get started. Today is Tuesday, July 13th, and the first item on our Tuesday Talks list was about Bishop Bob's upcoming retirement. I did have a question about that before, and that's why I figured, you know what, maybe you guys didn't, I'm not sure, 100% sure who is, if everyone from Tuesday Talks is on our subscriber list for when the bishop sends letter out to churches or whatever. So thought, you know what, let's make sure you guys know what's going on with the church. So this website here that I'm sharing is the Western Jurisdiction website. So for those of you that don't know, your church is part of a district. Your district is part of the Desert Southwest Conference. The Desert Southwest Conference is part of the Western Jurisdiction. And the Western Jurisdiction is part of the United Methodist Church. So it's all kind of segmented. I think of it kind of like schools and school districts, or cities and states and the United States and the world. It's just little geographical areas. So we're part of the Western Jurisdiction. And this Saturday at 10 a.m., we're going to have a special session of the Western Jurisdiction. So it would be like when we have annual conference and there's a special session. So it's off of schedule, but it's the same group of people that need to come together to do some kind of business. This time the business is about Bishop Bob's retirement. And so just like with clergy, I think, I'm not 100% sure how it all works. All I know is that for Bishop Bob to retire, I think part of what needs to happen is there needs to be a vote, and then it'll happen. So if you're interested in watching that, and you can go to the Western Jurisdiction, umc.org, click on special session live stream. On this page, you'll see this is where the session is going to be live streamed. There's also documents that our voting delegates will need to look at, and those are available here on this news article. And if you want details about the bishop's retirement, what's been published, that's available here from the Western Jurisdiction perspective. I'll go to you next, Carla. I just want to show one more thing. So down here, I already subscribed, so it doesn't look like it. I shouldn't have subscribed, so I could show you guys. If you send your church people or you want to get a little notification when it's live, at the bottom here, there's going to be a little bell that you can click on. And so that makes you get a notification when it actually goes live. So that's all. Okay, go ahead, Carla.
So just so that you know, for those of you that want to know, the Bishop Bob's, we do vote on, the delegates do vote on his retirement, and then there will be a retirement celebration immediately following. So all of the worship and Bishop Bob's retirement will all be within the first hour. So you don't have to watch all day to be a part of it. I just wanted you to know that. So if you were thinking about doing it.
That is very, very helpful. Thank you. Okay, yeah, Sherry.
You go back to that page, the word Methodist is misspelled. Just thought I'd tell you. Scroll down. No, back to the page. Down, scroll down. See, whoa, back up. Back up. See Methodist. There you go. That's it. Jim is laughing, right? Because I can't not see these.
Thank you. That was a perfect example of how, because of this collaboration, good things happen. We can fix that ASAP. Thank you very much.
I need to belong to Editors Anonymous.
Sherry's always been my great editor. I send things out and she sends them back. You need X, Y, and Z. Hey, another thing, Christina, on the letter that Bishop Bob sent out about the retirement, he had a real good link in there about how bishops are discerned and chosen. And I thought that was very helpful to our church people too.
Yes, thank you. So in your, let me go ahead and open it up just to kind of show everyone where that is. And so this is the other link that I provided for you guys in the email. It's the plan for Episcopal coverage. And when you see the green link and your cursor or your mouse changes from an arrow or a cursor to a little point up finger, that means that's a link. So is this the one that you were talking about, Jim, where it says announced? No, wait, for those who are interested in more details about the role and election of bishops in the United Methodist Church, it might be this one. Is it this document? Jim?
Yes, that was the one.
Okay.
The
So
only
it's
thing that
very,
was incorrect there was the retirement age. It's 68, I think you have it.
no, thank you. So
I think it's different for bishops.
Oh.
Because they're on 4-year quadrennials.
Yeah.
okay, thanks. All right, so that's where you would find that. You can, check out the different links to get more information about all the different intricate details about when our bishop retires. Okay.
You see the note about untied Methodists?
About what?
There's also another typo.
Where?
It's in your note. Somebody typed it into that. There's like something wrong with that.
Oh, in the chats?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and the next item. First of all, are there any questions about that, about the bishop's retirement? No, okay, good. All right, next item is what you really need to know about housing allowances with Brian Mills. So, I mean, everything I was going to share about that, I think it's in that bullet point. In the past, I think it's GCFA that would host this webinar, and it was strictly for clergy because it affects them. However, they found that they often received questions from the SPRC or from the treasurer. I mean, even though it's about the clergy person's housing allowance, it's something that really affects several groups, could affect several groups of the church. So I highly recommend you to just copy and paste it in an email to your finance chair, your trustees chair, your SPRC chair, anyone else, maybe even the church council, if that's what the way your church works, and then they can distribute it out to the right people. I don't know, however it works for your church, share it. It should be a pretty good session, especially if they register now and enter their question of, well, what about blah, 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 then it's much more likely that their question is going to be answered during the webinar. Okay. Now, questions about that? No. Okay. Next item is, okay, so we had a church question using Facebook Business Suite now. Where can I find the URL for scheduled video posts? Do you guys know what that was all about? I haven't been streaming on Facebook anymore, so I didn't even notice that this particular church, they were saying that they were switched from the regular editor and it switched to a business suite thing. Shelly, you're nodding yes. How long has that been effective?
They kind of had a soft rollout of that where when you clicked on publishing tools, it would say, hey, we've got this new thing. You can try it now or proceed to how it was. And I kept proceeding to how it was because the old way you could drag and drop images into your posts, which I loved. And then eventually they just got to where, hey, this is all done on Business Suite now. Click to go there. And so that's your option now. So it's taking a little bit of adjusting.
Okay. So
At how it's set up though, because I want to say you just go to your scheduled posts and it should show everything, including your videos.
So yeah, and that's what Betty, was that you that had sent me that question? I don't remember, but so they knew where to go to get the URL, but then it like things changed, I guess, once the business suite thing came into play. So, oh, not Betty's question. Okay. So what I did is I reached out to GCFA because I wasn't really familiar with it, especially since it changed. It's been a while since I've streamed anything to Facebook anymore. And not GCFA, I'm sorry. I reached out to GNTV and asked them about it because they're streaming out to multiple platforms all the time. I forgot though that when they do this, they are actually streaming to their like third party thing that from there they stream to multiple platforms. So sadly, I didn't have the exact, oh yeah, we do this all the time. Here's how we do it directly from Zoom to Facebook, because that's not what they do. But I'll show you what they do. And hopefully this will work it out. Can you guys see the video okay? Actually, I can't see you guys now. So I'm going to assume that you can see it. I'm going to play it. Okay, go ahead.
So my guess is you have a YouTube account linked to Zoom.
Oh, wait a second. I forgot to mention that he was going to go ahead and show how to get the link from YouTube and also how to get the link from Facebook. Okay, now I'll keep going.
Doing it that way, Zoom creates a new video. So what I always do is go ahead, go to create, go live, and then schedule a stream. So we'll just call this test, what's today? Test 13 on the 15th. So now you've got a stream key and a stream URL that's specific to this scheduled live stream on YouTube. And then in Zoom, I assume this is for a webinar. Under the More category, or the More tab down here at the bottom with all these, configure custom. And so I would paste the that stream key into the stream key box and the stream URL, which is that rtmp://youtube.com into the stream URL. And then this is where you would, whatever page you're going to embed that on, you can put that there. So when you do go live in Zoom, it'll push it directly to this pre-scheduled YouTube. And I don't love the way the YouTube thing is laid out, but if you go back to the studio and go to content, go to live, you'll have upcoming live streams. And from here, you can get a shareable link. So now that's the link that you would share with people. And if they go there, they see a countdown until the date and time that stream was scheduled, and you can set a custom thumbnail for it. But that's how I get links ahead of time for anything that we're pushing to YouTube. So because we work with so many different people, trying to link multiple accounts to one of our Zoom accounts is just not really feasible. So doing the scheduling it both gives you the option to have the stream key for a specific stream, so you can share a link that Zoom will end up pushing to. So that's what I know for YouTube. For Facebook,
Well, no, so this would be a scheduled
okay.
live video event. So I had a question from one of our churches that said, oh, she said, using Facebook Business Suite now, where can I find the URL for scheduled video posts?
And Facebook changes so much so often. It is what she's looking for. It used to be under like publishing tools.
I think so. Yeah, and there was, like, I remember if you scheduled something, it was like a little down arrow on the top right that you could click on in your scheduled post, and you could get the shareable link. But I'm not sure. I haven't had the time to even test it, so I thought, well, you guys do this all the time. Maybe I'll.
Right. So I don't know if this is what she's looking for. Like stuff that's already run.
No, she's looking for a URL to send to people. So for Sunday worship, they'll preload their worship service into Facebook and schedule it to premiere or whatever it's called on Facebook.
Okay.
And so she wants to get that URL to send to people so they go to exactly that video.
Gotcha. I've never done a Facebook premiere, since pretty much all we do is live stuff.
Well, how do you do it then when you do schedule, like for our annual conference, you guys had streamed it to YouTube and Facebook at the same time, and you were able to provide, like, you were able to put in a thumbnail in the Facebook page, and I think that you even provided a link to where I could find that.
I don't think we did the link. So with the Facebook live, basically did the exact same thing as YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. Yes. So there. Even this is different from what I'm used to seeing, so I'm not sure I'm going to the right place. Yeah. Okay, so here's what how I did it on Facebook is when you go live, I always select use a persistent stream key, and then it's that same deal with copying the stream key and the server URL. So if you're doing both, Zoom doesn't support multiple streaming destinations, so you can use some sort of multicast or restreaming service. There's like restream.io, caster.io. There's a handful of others now. And so the way that would work then is you would set up, let's say, for instance, you're doing Facebook and YouTube. You would grab your streaming URLs and your stream keys for whatever destinations you're using. So Facebook and YouTube, put those into your restreaming service, and then get the stream key from your restreaming service and put that into Zoom.
Okay.
So it's going Zoom, pushing to the restreaming service, which is then pushing to your other destinations. The YouTube one is the way we do it. We actually have Facebook and YouTube each open in a tab, and when you start pushing to them, you'll see that they're getting video, and then we'll manually go live on both of those services. They offer a lot of automated stuff, but we have found it's easier and more reliable to do a lot of it manually than trust the automation. So avoiding that sort of thing, just we do it all manually, which some people aren't interested in, but that's what's worked the best for us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Super appreciate your time.
Was that?
Okay. That was Paul Rodemel from GNTV. And I saw that the black box that you were seeing was because I had my chat window open so I could keep up with what you guys were talking about. So at the end of our meeting today, I'm going to replay that video so without the chat box open, but you guys don't have to stay on. I'll just put it in there so that.
Just on a Tuesday talk, but I can talk. What's up?
Oh, I thought. she had a question for us. Yes, David.
So I put some stuff in the chat. I think I interpreted that the question could have to do with one of two things. If it's what we thought up front, that maybe they had a scheduled video planned, which is a pre-recorded video and not a live event, right? Then I gave the URL. It's really easy to get at. In fact, he had the right initial thing is that it is in the publishing. If you go to your Facebook page and you go down the manage page links on the left, if you hit publishing tools, I think they're dumping most people into that business Facebook now. And when you go into the business Facebook,
I'm going to share my screen so you can.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So if you scroll down a bit on the left, and yeah, let's see what happens when you go there. Should take you into the business. Unless it doesn't. Yeah, interestingly enough, it didn't take you into business.facebook.com. For some people, it is doing that. So see, you have access to scheduled posts on the left, right?
Sorry, that's part of why I didn't understand. Like, I don't see
Because
what's
you don't see the same thing. Yeah, I gave the link, a generic link in the chat. I said for any post but a Facebook live stream in the chat. That should work.
Look at the people change, you can see it.
Yeah, it's not working for you. Anyway, that should work. And that's where they will then see, we'll just have to pretend like we see it. They will see not only create post in the upper right hand corner, but they'll see their published posts, and then there's a tab for schedule. And all they'd have to do is click on scheduled, and then they can work with the scheduled post and get its link and all that good sort of stuff. But I'm not 100% convinced they were talking about a pre-recorded video. What if they were talking about they were going to go live and they were scheduling a live stream and they wanted to be able to give that link out? Because that'd be a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I gave the, because apparently, so when I Googled that, yeah, see, they still send you to live producer. You see that first link?
Yeah.
And so that's apparently still a thing that, so you don't have to do that in that new business section, because the live producer looks a little bit more like the old thing that you were just in.
Okay.
And so those are just some links that might help.
Okay. I'll include both of those links in the Tuesday Talk response for today. All right, questions, or does anybody else have something to share about that? Okay. All right, then the next one was Betty Shepard from Willowbrook says, for our 4th of July service, we have a live stream copyright claim for Faith of Our Fathers on page 710 of the United Methodist Hymnal. We thought we had covered everything in our video, but this one popped up. Is there a special way to show ownership for the songs in the hymnal? I've been watching the videos on UMCOM website, and they seem to say the hymns in the hymnal are covered under the United Methodist Publishing House. And then she shares the choices that she had for, your next steps in trying to resolve the copyright claim. Let's see here. David, go ahead.
So almost every time what you need is right there, at the bottom of your hymnal. And if you go to page 710 in the hymnal, you'll see that those dates are way before like 1925 and that moving, date of when things fall into public domain. And so this is totally a public domain hymn. So that claim is bogus. Now, the problem is she didn't tell us whether she got the claim in Facebook or YouTube. I'm going to guess YouTube. YouTube will do a claim and it won't affect your video at all. So you can just forget about it. Don't sweat it. I challenged one last week because I was kind of grumpy about it because it was a false hit to a song that we weren't even singing, right? It was, they made a claim to a medley that included 2 hymns that would have been copyrighted because like a special arrangement, but we were only singing one of those 2 hymns and just one little verse as a transition thing, and it's public domain. So I filed and they have 30 days to respond to you. So it's like, good, is it really worth it? No. Facebook, on the other hand, is the one that took down one of our services for a whole week when we had a song that was written by one of our band members. So I don't trust Facebook any farther than I can throw them. And that's one of the big reasons why we moved to YouTube.
Shelley, you got a question?
We've also stopped streaming directly through Facebook. We had set it up for over a year where we were streaming through our website and YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. But Facebook kept deciding that despite all our licensing and everything, that there would be like one song in the service that was in violation, and it would just be, they would just take out the music for that part. So we'd have dead silence for a few minutes in the middle of our service. So now we post a link to our YouTube on Facebook on Sundays to direct people over there, because YouTube hasn't been doing that to us. Facebook has gotten really weird.
Thank you. That was very helpful. So I guess one thing to note, one of the, trying to make sure that it's clear for everyone is, even if you're doing everything right, and whether it's public domain or you've got the right licenses purchased or whatever, that doesn't mean that you won't have to deal with one of these copyright claims. It just happens, and it doesn't mean you did something wrong, but do your due diligence, make sure you're doing it right to begin with. And then afterwards, just choose the option that you want to work on. And I've not had the experience of just leaving something when I have a copyright claim, because we get them too. I do the last option, which was basically like to rebut it and show like, no, here's our license and here's how we're covered. And
Ours stopped offering that option. It just said you're in violation, and there was like no way to dispute it. The last couple of times it happened, there was no option to dispute. It was just, this is what we've decided and this is how it is. So we said, fine, bye.
Yeah, was that on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had been hearing a lot of problems with Facebook, and like I said, even with people that like, no, we're totally in compliance. Facebook shouldn't have a problem, but we're still having this. Anybody can make a copyright claim. You don't have to be in the right or have any solid ground that you're standing on to make a copyright claim against someone else. So it's a major bummer. And I'm certainly not advocating move away from Facebook or choose this platform over another. I'm just saying it's something that happens, and just don't stress out that, oh no, what are we doing wrong? You might be doing everything right. Thank you very much, David, for showing on the hymnal exactly where to go. That's super helpful. And try other platforms and let your church people know. So, and as we're talking about different platforms, one of the things that I was thinking about with the URL stream, how do I get it? And Facebook changed it again. Where do I find it? So number one, I would recommend in those times where you can't find the right URL to send to people, why not create a page on your website, on your church website, where you do embed the stream, and just always send them to that one, UMC church, blah, 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 at, /worship, or, whatever. And so even if you change where you're going to send it to, you can always have time to embed the stream onto your website, and your church members will have the right place. So that's a great solution for your church. But of course, we're not just concerned about only our members or only the people that already attend worship with us. We want to constantly be reaching out into the community and sharing the good news. So for that reason, you still want to do what you can to get your message out there in the different social media platforms, but maybe don't put all your eggs in one basket. And think about what if we were to do live and embed on our church website or to YouTube, and then after the fact, share the stream to Facebook or to Twitter, Instagram, wherever else you're going to be. Try something different, see and check to see what's going on when you send that stuff. And ideally, when you do share it to a different stream, maybe schedule it as a premiere so that you have the opportunity to be watching it while you're community online is watching it, and you're able to respond to stuff and ask for prayer requests or tell them more about things with your church. Yeah, David.
So speaking of that, there is a third-party platform that's free called the Online Church Platform that will embed either your Facebook video stream, or preferably what we're doing is embedding our YouTube video stream in that. And it's a whole worship website, all self-contained, and people can create logins, or they can just create a nickname if they don't want to log in. And it has Bible verses, and it has 5 links up in the top menu where you can link to your online giving, your attendance, and it has a prayer request form. So you can click on prayer, and it has chat. So it kind of has all of those things that you want, and it's free. And here's the link. And if someone's watching this, it's at online.church. So that's kind of easy. Yeah, we've been using that since last August, and it's pretty good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Any questions or comments about this stuff? Anything else to share? Okay. So our last, no, it's not the last one. The next one we have is about, well, there's 2 questions. They're both kind of about licensing. One is we have 1 license plus live stream bundle and CCLI licenses. These cover music. What covers quotes from printed material or order of worship or communion services and scripture passages? And the other one is, are we part of a group license for CCLI and not CBLI? So I'm going to cover the latter part of the question and then come back to, so which one of these licenses covers this? So all of the Desert Southwest Conference churches are part of a group license. Well, each church has their own license. They're part of a group discount for those licenses that the conference pays for thanks to apportionment dollars. So the 2 licenses that the Desert Southwest Conference provides is CCLI, which is the church copyright license. Sorry, from CCLI, they provide the church copyright license. From CCLI, we also provide the church streaming license. The copyright license is the one that covers the printed materials. The streaming license is what lets you put that text on the screen when you're streaming, and include the audio and all that business. But in both of those cases, just because you have those 2 licenses, or you also have the, which one was it, the church copyright license? What was it? 1 license. That doesn't mean, I don't know that any one of those licenses cover 100% of everything in, I mean, I'm 99% positive that not any one of those single licenses cover everything in the United Methodist Hymnal or the Faith We Sing or wherever else you're getting your music. You know, that it would be great to have that simple go-to license, but that just doesn't exist. So, you know, when you're asking which one covers all of the songs in here or all of the order of worship from here, none of them do. David, do you have something to share about that? No?
I'm just totally agreeing and shaking my head like, why isn't there such a thing? Wouldn't it be beautiful if if the denomination could somehow get that together? But they got other fish to fry right now. And so, but I did put in that UMPH publishing house did grant way back at the beginning of the pandemic special permission to use all the liturgical texts and whatnot that one might find in the hymnal. And then they extended it. But here's the downside. I just went to the article again, and I'm posting it in the Zoom chat. They extended it through July 31st. So what's happening on July 31st? Oh, you got it too. And I don't know what's happening after July 31st. So maybe they'll announce, oh, just kidding, we're going to extend it again. So here's hoping.
So, and here's something to note is that they do specifically say not the music. It does cover the hymnal, but it's not the music part. It's the service, the order of worship stuff, the different things that you can use, not the music. Yeah, you just gotta check to see what, I'll send you guys a link to that article. Oh, actually, yeah, David put it in there as well, and I'll include it in the notes. You just have to keep checking every single song that you're going to use. Is it public domain? Is it part of this license or that license that we have? And then paying close attention also that your license is covering specifically that rendition of that song, because there's different, and maybe sometimes it's the text or a certain verse isn't covered, or it's really confusing. I'm not a worship director. I just know enough to understand your pain. For those of you that have to figure this out. Sorry, we just got to keep doing it, keep pushing on. Okay, let me check and see. Any other questions or comments to share about this? Okay, so that's it. I'm going to play that video recording again when we're all done, but just remember, especially if your church is getting a new pastor, or you're a pastor that's watching this and you're moving to a new church, the conference provides the CCLI copyright license, the CCLI streaming license, and of course we can provide a Zoom license for your church at a significant discount. And if your church had paid for a license and your pastor was the one that was using that license and they're moving to a different church, they can transfer the license to the new pastor very easily. If you need help, you can contact me, email communications@dscumc.org. But it's just a matter of going into the profile, changing the name, the profile picture if you added one, and the email address that you use for logging in, if the email address you were using was the pastor's personal email address. So super easy stuff. And if you find that you are at a new church and they weren't using Zoom and you want to try to use it, it's $220 for the year. And so the thing is, we're in this Desert Southwest Conference is part of a group discount thing with Zoom that goes through TechSoup, but also additional discounts through Zoom. So your church can do it on their own. It's just not going to be quite as good of a deal, but it'll still be 50% off. That's a great deal through TechSoup.org. We just have an extra deal with Zoom that it includes the webinar for 500 and meetings, large meetings for up to 500 people. And I think that our 50% off is not, we get the enterprise level license for our churches at 50% off of the pro license, and maybe the names changed, but it's a great deal. So we offer it as $220 for the year. If at this point with the new appointments, you want to get a new license, I still have a few left that I can assign out, but I can't do a prorated thing. I was trying to do that when we first set it up and it was an administrative nightmare. And so if your church needs a new license at midway in the year here, we're in July, it's still going to be $220 until the end of 2021. And then everybody's going to renew in January 2022, and it'll be $220 then as well. I'm really sorry that seems unfair, but it's still way cheaper than if you even got 50% for the year, or for half of a year. You're still going to be saving money by going through the conference and doing that. So if you're interested in doing that, email communications@dscumc.org. The one thing is, they are not meant to be personal licenses, or if a church member is opening up their own business and wants to take advantage of this deal, can't do that. Part of our agreement is it's only for churches and church ministries. So if you needed more than one license at your church, that's totally fine too. Just email communications@dscumc.org. Okay, questions? Any last final comments from anybody? No. Hope you're all having a wonderful summer, staying cool, stress-free, loving life, and finding joy in the ministry that is yours as church communicators. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye. Oh, wait a minute. I was almost going to leave, but I'm not going. I've got to share that video. Oh, cancel. There we go. Share screen. Back to my video. Okay, go ahead.
So my guess is you have a YouTube account linked to Zoom. Doing it that way, Zoom creates a new video. So what I always do is go ahead, go to create, go live, and then schedule a stream. So we'll just call this tests. What's today? Test 13 on the 15th. So now you've got a stream key and a stream URL that's specific to this scheduled live stream on YouTube. And then in Zoom, I assume this is for a webinar. Under the More category, or the More tab down here at the bottom with all these, configure custom. And so I would paste the that stream key into the stream key box, and the stream URL, which is that rtmp://youtube.com, into the stream URL. And then this is where you would, whatever page you're going to embed that on, you can put that there. So when you do go live in Zoom, it'll push it directly to this pre-scheduled YouTube. And I don't love the way the YouTube thing is laid out, but if you go back to the studio and go to content, go to live, you'll have upcoming live streams. And from here, you can get a shareable link. So now that's the link that you would share with people. And if they go there, they see a countdown until the date and time that stream was scheduled, and you can set a custom thumbnail for it. But that's how I get links ahead of time for anything that we're pushing to YouTube. So because we work with so many different people, trying to link multiple accounts to one of our Zoom accounts is just not really feasible. So doing the scheduling it both gives you the option to have the stream key for a specific stream, so you can share a link that Zoom will end up pushing to. So that's what I know for YouTube. For Facebook,
well, no, so this would be a scheduled
Okay.
live video event. So I had a question from one of our churches that said, she said, using Facebook Business Suite now, where can I find the URL for scheduled video posts?
And Facebook changes so much so often. It is what she's looking for. It used to be under like publishing tools.
I think so. Yeah, and there was, like, I remember if you scheduled something, it was like a little down arrow on the top right that you could click on in your scheduled post, and you could get the shareable link. But I'm not sure. I haven't had the time to even test it, so I thought, well, you guys do this all the time. Maybe I'll.
Right. So I don't know if this is what she's looking for. Like stuff that's already run.
No, she's looking for a URL to send to people. So for Sunday worship, they'll preload their worship service into Facebook and schedule it to premiere or whatever it's called on Facebook.
Okay.
And so she wants to get that URL to send to people. So they go to exactly that video.
Gotcha. I've never done a Facebook premiere, since pretty much all we do is live stuff.
Well, how do you do it then when you do schedule, like for our annual conference, you guys had streamed it to YouTube and Facebook at the same time, and you were able to provide, like, you were able to put in a thumbnail in the Facebook page, and I think that you even provided a link to where I could find that.
I don't think we did the link. So with the Facebook live, basically did the exact same thing as YouTube.
Mhm.
But let's see. Yes. So there. Even this is different from what I'm used to seeing, so I'm not sure I'm going to the right place. Yeah. Okay, so here's what how I did it on Facebook is when you go live, I always select use a persistent stream key, and then it's that same deal with copying the stream key and the server URL. So if you're doing both, Zoom doesn't support multiple streaming destinations, so you can use some sort of multicast or restreaming service. There's like restream.io, caster.io. There's a handful of others now. And so the way that would work then is you would set up, let's say, for instance, you're doing Facebook and YouTube. You would grab your streaming URLs and your stream keys for whatever destinations you're using. So Facebook and YouTube, put those into your restreaming service, and then get the stream key from your restreaming service and put that into Zoom.
Okay.
So it's going Zoom, pushing to the restreaming service, which is then pushing to your other destinations. The YouTube one is the way we do it. We actually have Facebook and YouTube each open in a tab, and when you start pushing to them, you'll see that they're getting video, and then we'll manually go live on both of those services. They offer a lot of automated stuff, but we have found it's easier and more reliable to do a lot of it manually than trust the automation. So avoiding that sort of thing, just we do it all manually, which some people aren't interested in, but that's what's worked the best for us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, thanks for staying on this late, Annie and Betty.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.